Good morning, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving. Here at HALC, we're all thankful for our loyal and very active membership. So today we hope to give you a little Thanksgiving gift. We know that no Greek Thanksgiving is complete without some spirited conversation. In order to help that conversation along, we are starting a new Thanksgiving tradition, roasting turkey. And we're kicking that tradition off with our executive director, Endy Zemenides. Endy, great to be here with you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Thanos. I'm excited to be part of some spirited conversations across Greek dinner tables today.
Well, let's kick off with the midterms then. We just had midterms in the US, and for a while now it seems that Erdogan was anticipating a change in policy if control of Congress flipped. Why did he think that?
I I don't know. I think he thinks whatever he thinks, he makes it up in his mind. The guy's in his own universe. I do think, to be fair, I do think Senator Lindsey Graham has something to do with it. He's taken such a almost disgusting liking to Erdogan. Remember, he objected to the recognition of the Armenian genocide. He lobbied for Erdogan to get the F-35s, and now he seems to be on board with the F-16s. After the UN General Assembly, Erdogan said, "I've had good conversations with Republicans," which resulted in kind of Congressman Bilirakis clapping back at him on Twitter saying, "Well, I got 59 Republican votes to restrict you from buying the F-16s." And I think mostly he wanted to see somebody other than Senator Menendez as chair of the Foreign Relations Committee, and I think that's why he thought that.
And obviously that didn't happen because the Democrats kept the Senate. Senator Menendez is going to remain the chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. You've described these midterms, Endy, as a victory for Hellenic issues and a loss for Erdogan. I know we're in a World Cup mood now with people winning, teams winning and losing. Why do you use that description?
Well, you named the first one. Senator Menendez stays as the chair of the Foreign Relations Committee, which means he has disproportionate influence on the U.S. foreign policy agenda, and he speaks truth to power. Danielle Pletka from the AEI, who used to work for Republican chair Jesse Helms, recently did a column saying Menendez may be one of the all-time great foreign relations chairman, somebody who has stood up both to presidents of his own party and of the other party. Erdogan knows that Menendez is not going to bend to his will, is not going to be privy to his hostage politics, and is very principled here. The other thing is that all the Greek American members of Congress won, and some of them handily. Obviously, Congressman Bilirakis and Congressman Sarbanes, who have been in since 2006, who have been tremendous leaders on the issue. Congresswoman Maliotakis, who at the beginning of this cycle seemed that this was a kind of a key swing seat, and she won handily, and she has been a tremendous leader in her first term in Congress. And Congressman Pappas and Congresswoman Titus, who were very much went into the last weekend of the election in seats that were up for grabs, won, retained their positions, and pick up leading on the issues as they were before the election. On the flip side, one position that seemed to be on Erdogan's wish list, which is Dr. Oz in the Senate, they lost pretty handily to now Senator-elect Fetterman. Oz refused to clarify his stances on Erdogan's policies, on the Armenian genocide, on F-16s, and it cost him. He thought because it didn't cost him in the primary, even though we and the Armenians and others raised the issue, Secretary Pompeo raised this issue in the primary, it didn't cost us in the primary, it cost him in the general. And finally, the chair of the Turkey caucus, one of the co-chairs, Steve Chabot in Ohio, also lost. So a bunch of wins on one side, nothing but losses on the other.
Moving us from DC, Endy, to the Aegean, we've heard Erdogan make a number of statements where he's been threatening essentially to invade Greek islands. How seriously should we be taking Erdogan's rhetoric and his statements about coming suddenly one night and invading?
Well, frankly, because he's mentally unstable, we should take everything serious enough. This is someone who has gone just a decade ago, was pretending to have a zero problems with neighbors foreign policy, to now zero neighbors without which he has problems. He has a literal conflict or flashpoint on every border. He has participated in wars in Libya, in Syria, in Armenia on behalf of Azerbaijan. He has threatened war against Greece and Cyprus. He has used his military to harass peaceful energy exploration. So there is no reason not to take it serious, but there is a reason to say maybe something's not being planned. This is more about his election or re-election. And you see even public polling in Turkey, a vast majority of Turks think that Erdogan is using this rhetoric for electoral or political purposes and not necessarily for military planning. But married that rhetoric with the actual staggering number of overflights, staggering number of military planes from Turkey flying in Greek airspace over Greek territory, the traffic by military weapons of war in the Aegean has to be worrying. The prospect of a accident is pretty high, but finally, Greece's deterrent factor is as good as it's been in years. The rebuild of the military, starting with the upgraded F-16s, the new Rafales, that Greece is more ready to push back against Turkish provocations than it may have been just a few years ago. So it is worrying. We should take it serious. I believe Greece is taking it seriously. France is taking it seriously. Germany is taking it seriously. The U.S. is taking it seriously. And of course, Greece's friends in the U.S., the Philhellenic lobby, is taking it seriously.
Do Erdogan's latest attacks, Endy, against Syrian Kurds and his support of Azerbaijan's attacks on Armenia make his threats to come, suddenly one night more real? How can the U.S. be proceeding with F-16 sales, for example, while this belligerence continues?
That's a great question. First of all, it does make it more real. If he can pull the trigger, and I still think this latest attack on Syria is, again, first of all, I think it's a bit of a false flag in as far as one of your guests on the Greek Current, regular guest, Sinan Chidi from the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, wrote a great piece about it in the national interest. I'm not saying, and I don't think he says, that this was a traditional false flag in terms of Turkey attacked its own soil, but there's a lot of questions raised, especially whether this alleged bomber had any ties to the Kurds. There's a Kurdish commander who says this is someone who's tied to ISIS and not to the Kurds. I think a lot of Erdogan's other nationalist or expansionist options, for example, versus Greece are a lot more risky, right? You hit Greece, Greece can hit back. Greece has a stronger deterrent factor. Greece has a European Union. You hit Greece or Cyprus, you're almost for sure going to get European Union sanctions at a time when Turkey's economy is teetering. So this was, I think, his calculation that he would not pay the same consequences for doing this against the Kurds. And he has to be disabused of this notion. And F-16s are perfect. He's using the F-16s not for defensive purposes. He's using them against the interests of the very country that's selling him the F-16s. The U.S. has zero interest for these F-16s to be challenging Greek sovereignty, has zero interest for F-16s to be being used against key players in the anti-ISIS coalition, and that's the Syrian Kurds. And frankly, if Erdogan doesn't like that the Syrian Kurds are playing this role, he can rewind the tape and reconsider his decision not to help in the fight against ISIS, or not to take that responsibility and forcing the United States to look to new partners. So these F-16s should go nowhere. Again, going back to your midterm question, the new term, or Senator Menendez being chair once again of the Foreign Relations Committee, and he has made it clear over and over publicly before the election, and now at least twice subsequent to the election, that he will not lift his hold on Turkey buying F-16s as long as they continue this belligerence. So Turkey is going to have to change policy. And just to clarify, so people, I think there's a misperception out there that the administration wants to sell the F-16s and only Congress is blocking them. The administration, this is just a theoretical sale for right now. The administration has not even finalized technical negotiations, has not notified Congress, and there are a lot more people in Congress besides Senator Menendez that have a problem with Turkey's behavior. So Erdogan can believe whatever he wants. He can say he's coming at night. We see the videos of him sleeping on chairs, so he's going to have to wake up before he comes at night. He can say, and we've hit him with sanctions and holds. And there's a place for Turkey at a lot of tables if they want to act like a real ally, play by international law, play by the rules, but they will have to change their behavior to get F-16s.
Endy, it's been great chatting with you, and I hope this discussion we've had gives everyone a little cheat sheet when they sit around the Thanksgiving table and start talking politics, inevitably. So with that, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, Endy.
Happy Thanksgiving. Let's get to deep frying the turkey.